Let's talk about parental alienation versus estrangement. Hi, I'm Alycia Kinchloe, the owner of Kinchloe Law, a family law practice based in the Philadelphia area. Now, there are times when a child is being withheld from the other parent, and sometimes we'll want to give it a label and call it parental alienation. It's very important that you understand that a lot of terms, not just parental alienation or estrangement, but a lot of terms have very specific definitions depending on where you're using them. And sometimes a lot of words or phrases have become part of our everyday lexicon. We use them. Things like someone being bipolar can be something that we kind of use without understanding exactly what it means and what it means as a diagnosis or as a term of art. So, when we're talking about the mental health world, there is the DSM 5, which will describe certain situations, disorders, syndromes, etc. And then there's other terms that are not actually considered to be a diagnosis, but they do have a significant definition in the mental health space. And then we also have, again, things that are terms of art or maybe related to something with regard to something in the legal world. Now, when we talk about parental alienation, we are often talking about or generally thinking about what it means in terms of custody with a parent being alienated from the child. Now, it's always important that you speak with an attorney licensed in your state. And in this video, I'm going to also advise you or suggest that you speak with a mental health professional that can speak to you specifically regarding your particular situation. And we're going to talk a little bit about what a mental health professional can provide in terms of parental alienation or estrangement cases as we dig a little deeper into this video. But again, in general, those things have their own terms. And when we think of a parental alienation, again, we think about a child that's being withheld unreasonably from the other parent in such a way that it is damaging their relationship. Now, again, you want to understand specifically what that definition means. There are some mental health professionals that will actually not speak of it in terms of parental alienation, but they'll say child alienation. And the way that they do that is that by turning the focus onto the child and the child's behaviors. And you'll often see this in situations where the mental health provider is actually treating or seeing the child and not the parent. And because in Pennsylvania we have a focus on the best interest of the children, that's often where or how the court may look at it. The court may look at, well, what is going on with the particular child and how have the behaviors of the parents affected the child. Now, some professionals will distinguish between parental alienation or child alienation and child estrangement. And they'll often differ on those two definitions based upon whether the child has an unreasonable and irrational fear, just kind of pulling away from the other parent that's not based on an actual incident or, again, is not reasonable. For example, their reaction to the parent is completely disproportionate to whatever the underlying situation is alleged to be. And then you have the other side of that, which may be estrangement. And that is where the reactions or the behaviors of the child is somewhat reasonable given the behaviors of the parent. So maybe a long time away, again, not of the parent's control, maybe because they've been incarcerated, or maybe the parent chose not to be involved with them, or maybe abuse or something else that the child has witnessed over a period of time, can be an actual reasonable, understandable reaction to the parent. And understanding the difference between the two, again, can take the work and the involvement of a mental health professional, because the types of guidance that they'll give in order to repair the relationship between the parent and the child and whether or not it can actually be repaired is going to be kind of something that they need to be involved in and need to provide insight into. Now, the court, on the other hand, again, is weighing all of these things to determine what's in the best interest of the child. And sometimes, depending on how much time you get to arguing your case, how well you argue the different parts of your case, and sometimes just what the judge understands about the difference between alienation and estrangement can determine how the judge approaches the case and what type of custody order they provide, whether they provide a schedule that is without any type of supervision, whether there is supervision, whether there's a need for therapy, and what type of therapy, if it's family therapy, if it's reunification therapy, if it's individual therapy. A lot of that is going to depend on how you present your case. And again, that's why we always say to speak with an attorney licensed in your state, because in certain situations, the way that you put together your case, your argument, the way that you elicit testimony from the way that you bring your testimony, the way that it's elicited or cross examination from the other party, and even questions that are asked of the child, and the arguments that are made, the evidence that is presented, can help the judge to understand whether this is actually a situation of alienation or estrangement or something else altogether. So the judge can make an appropriate determination about the right amount of custody to order, physical custody to order, and the right amount and type of therapy to order. So again, very complex issue. There is a lot of differing perspectives on exactly what is alienation, how it should be classified in both the legal world and in the mental health world. And again, it can be something that can be expensive to argue in court, just with having the testimony of experts. And you really want to make sure that you understand this term, especially if you're starting to use it in court, to propose what the judge should do, or propose what type of custody schedule should be in place, to help either reunify the relationship or repair the relationship between the child and the other parent, or to get the parent who is actually causing alienation to stop what they're doing, and make sure that there is a focus on getting that relationship better with the child and the parent that has been alienated from the child. I hope to shed a little bit of light on this topic. Again, this is something that there are differing schools of thoughts on, which means that not only in the mental health space there are differing thoughts on this, but also sometimes in the legal world there's differing thoughts on what should happen and how it should be addressed. So you want to make sure that you speak with somebody about your case and about this particular issue. What I'm going to also do is link in the show notes to a podcast episode that I did for A House Divided, which is our family law podcast, where I spoke with Dr. Gene Scholar about this topic as well, and he has some insight into some things having to deal with alienation, and sometimes in a perspective of past abuse, both, I guess, not true abuse, but also, or not real abuse, just alleged abuse, and then in situations where there was actual abuse, actual physical, sexual, or other types of abuse that happened, and how those different types of things may affect the child, the way they testify, and whether or not that is alienation or estrangement. So again, I'll link to that in the show notes so you can take a listen to his episode. He provides some excellent resources during that episode as well that you may find useful. So as always, we want to make sure that these videos are here for you. Again, they're not legal advice. They are for informational purposes only. But if there are questions you have about this topic or any other topic, please put them in the show notes. We'll try to turn them into a video to cover that particular topic or issue. And make sure you hit subscribe and the notification bell so that anytime we drop a brand new video, you get a little notification. All right, until next time, take care.